Hi everyone, I'm C Games. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a good day. In this video, we're going to look at the top 10 hints that Alex Mason was involved in the fate of John Fitzgerald Kennedy in the Black Ops 1 storyline. This video will contain major spoilers to the storyline of Black Ops. Then again, the game is at this point 15 years old, so hopefully that isn't a concern. With that said and out of the way, let's get started. At number 10, we have Mason's memory, or to be more precise, lack of memory. What I mean by this is the fact that Mason does not remember anything from the 18th of November 1963 after Baikonur up until February of 1968. This is concerning as it is conveniently within the window of when JFK's death happened on the 22nd of November 1963. Not exactly indicative of any wrongdoing, but it is pretty suspicious to say the least.
Victims, there are gaps in your memory. Periods where you went MIA and we couldn't account for you. But now that the brainwashing's been broken, all that lost time will come back.
At number 9, we have the appearance of Lee Harvey Oswald on the television screens during Mason's meeting with Kennedy a week before his assassination. We can see Mason is really conflicted and confused during this mission. Obviously, as we know, by the end of the story, he was brainwashed by the Soviet Union and General Nikita Dragovich to assassinate Kennedy. But apparently he was able to resist the brainwashing in time for his fellow inmate in the Vorkuta Gulag, Viktor Reznov, to apprehend and revert his brainwashing, instead to target Dragovich, as well as scientist Friedrich Steiner and Dragovich's right-hand man, Lev Kravchenko. However, what is pretty interesting as well as scary, at least, is Kennedy's actual murderer in real life, or alleged murderer, considering there's a lot of conspiracies pertaining to the real life event as well as the game counterpart. The real life assassin Lee Harvey Oswald actually appears on the television screens in game during Kennedy and Mason's meeting. This is extremely creepy considering it begs the question, why is Mason seeing Kennedy's killer, or later to be killer, on the television screens? And we know it's not real. You know, Mason is hallucinating this as he hallucinates a lot of things later on in the story. Why, of all the things to hallucinate, is he hallucinating the murderer, or soon to be murderer of Kennedy? That is number 9, where things kind of get interesting.
Mr. President?
Agent Mason.
Great honor, Mr. President.
Sit.
And you might think, big deal, so what if Mason knew Oswald? Well, I think number 8 will change your mind. At number 8, we have Mason's flashback during the mission Revelations, where we as the player, as well as Mason himself, learn the truth that he was brainwashed in the Gulag. What is crazy about this though is we end up going through flashbacks of events Mason has undergone, things that have happened in game that we as the player have experienced. However, there is one thing we have not experienced in the game, and we have no clarity of it whatsoever, and it is super suspicious at the same time. Listen to what Mason says before he gets to the room where he is surrounded with visions of Viktor Reznov. I'm probably going to sound like a right nerd to give you the description of compromised, but here it is. It means that if you say somebody's compromised, they have been exposed, weakened, or put in a vulnerable position. often through an unauthorized intrusion, loss of integrity or impairment of function. Okay, I'm going to sound like an idiot for doing that. I already feel like one in my head. Nevertheless, this proves that what Mason is saying is Oswald was exposed or weakened or somehow vulnerable. Now, this is obviously surely referring to the assassination, where he must be saying Oswald was weakened or exposed during that event. Is Mason saying Oswald has been apprehended? Is that what he's attempting to imply? And if that is the case, how does he know that? Why would he know that? Again, why does he know Oswald? Why is this a flashback in his head? When did he consult with Oswald? Again, I'm not saying it's a crime that he did, but it's very suspicious considering he met Kennedy the week before he was assassinated. And he's been conversing with his assassin in a flashback that we have not seen. What on earth is going on here? And this really ties into the whole memory aspect, where Mason does not remember anything between 1963 to 1968. Does he not remember conversing with Oswald? Or why? Again, I feel like part of me feels like I'm chatting rubbish here. I hope you can find some understanding as to what I'm talking about here. It's pretty weird, and it's pretty telling that something suspicious is going on with Mason. At number 7, we got Mason's statement during the epilogue of Black Ops. There is a lot of things Mason says during the epilogue scene of Black Ops 1, where we get to see Kennedy's assassination. Well, at least the moments leading up to it. I'm going to go through each quote individually and save some of them for the last top 10 hints that he was involved in the assassination. Anyways, the one we are focusing on is the details pertaining to the date and type of bullet that hit Kennedy. Listen to what Mason says and tell me that I am not, I'm not crazy. I'm not going into this too much. Just listen to what Mason says.
22. 6.5 millimeter.
9, 23, 1, 12, 0, 12, 16,
11, 22.
6, 12, 8, 4, 1, 6, 2, 10, 2, 1.
Texas.
At number 6, we have Mason's hallucination of killing Kennedy during their meeting. We know he was brainwashed, but this is just very telling that he, despite the fact he may have rejected it initially, he still did it.
I'm told that you are the very best that we have. Anywhere. You will need to be. Mr. Mason, take care of it.
At number 5, we have the existence of other sleeper operations besides Nova 6, such as Kennedy's assassination. This is very telling.
Programmed at Vorkuta to translate the number codes. Only you can tell us what the codes mean. Nova 6 was just one of the sleeper operations, but I'm sure there were others, ones we didn't even know about.
And we actually know from other in-game sources there is another sleeper operation known as Ascension. And as a matter of fact, we know Mason was involved in that sleeper operation. He wasn't involved in Nova 6 in any way, but he was certainly involved in the sleeper operation of Ascension. Listen to what he says at the assassination, or at least in the background of the assassination.
Ascension.
At number 4, we have Mason's trance, and I'm sure you're not going to know what I mean by Mason's trance. So let me remind you what happened at Rebirth Island when Mason massacred all of the Soviet soldiers in order to get to Friedrich Steiner. He then apprehends Steiner through his brainwashing and attempts to kill him, although he actually thinks it's Viktor Reznov doing it and not him. This appears to be a common phenomenon throughout the game. I may even do a video in the future regarding evidence that Viktor Reznov was a hallucination and not real. Nevertheless, Mason hallucinates Reznov killing Steiner, proving 1, he's unreliable, but 2, also capable of doing pretty horrendous things without even knowing it's him doing it. Although, Steiner was a scumbag, he deserved to die. He was one of the people who had Mason brainwashed in the first place to assassinate Kennedy. But the point I'm making is Mason is capable of doing these things and not knowing he's doing it. And that's proof of the Kennedy incident. He does not know that he even killed Kennedy. This is the craziest thing that the evidence is pointing towards so far. Mason managed to assassinate JFK and not even realize it. The players don't even fully know that he did it. He does not fully know that he did it.
Friedrich Steiner. This is you.
I know you. Vorkuta. You don't know what we did to you.
Mason, talk to me.
Your evil has claimed the lives of many good men. No longer.
Killing me will not stop Nova.
I do not care about Nova. My name is Viktor Reznov. And I will have my revenge!
Mason!
We have to stop him now!
Damn, it's bulletproof! Mason, what are you doing? We need him alive! Stand down! Stand down!
My name is Viktor Reznov, and I will have my
Revenge! Mason, no!
I'm fine. Check Steiner.
He's dead.
What about Reznov, the defector? We need to find him.
We won't. He was never here. I didn't believe it till I saw it with my own eyes. What did they do to you in Vorkuta, Mason?
At number 3, we have Steiner's words, and I probably sound really vague with that explanation right there. Steiner says during the flashback of Mason being brainwashed, he says that the subject has been successfully implanted with the knowledge to translate the number sequence. That means that even if Mason was hesitant and resistant, he was still successfully implanted and brainwashed. Even if he rejects and resents it, Steiner would also state that Mason's responses are sporadic and unpredictable, meaning they happen out of nowhere, and there's no telling if he is or isn't going to act on the brainwashing commands. This essentially implies that they were successful, although Mason is, his brainwashing is unstable because of his resilience to it. But still, it pretty much confirms that it worked, and he very much was brainwashed, and he very much could carry out the commands of assassinating Kennedy, which, as based on the evidence, it appears he did, or at the very least was heavily involved in the event.
I remember! Vorkuta!
The subject has been successfully implanted with the knowledge to translate the number sequences.
So, what is the problem?
His responses to our orders have been sporadic, unpredictable. He shows a remarkable resilience.
Why?
He is unusual, atypical. Few men possess such will. Our other test subjects have been far more successful.
If he would not follow the orders embedded in the numbers, then he is of no use to me. He can run.
Take him back to his cell.
Oh, the pain! Oh my god!
At number 2, we have Mason even appearing at the assassination. Now, what I mean by this is, why on earth is Mason even there at the event in Texas? Why is he there? That's just what I struggle to make out and understand. I mean, what reason does he have to be there? Kennedy gave him orders to stop the rocket launch and assassinate Dragovich. He does that. Well, he doesn't assassinate Dragovich. I mean, he gets away. But he stops the rocket launch. He's completed Kennedy's orders for the time being. He has no reason to even associate with Kennedy. So why does he appear to the rally? It just makes no sense and really adds weight to the theory he was involved in what happened to him. I know this one might seem a little bit too high on the list for some of you's liking, some of your liking, but it really is just crazy.
Ascension.
And at number 1, the biggest hint that Mason is involved in what happened to Kennedy is by far Dragovich's smug response as to when Mason confronts him about the brainwashing and how he tried to make him kill his own president. Listen to how Dragovich responds. It is absolutely explicitly trying to indicate Mason was the culprit.
Fire! You don't know anything! Tried to turn me against my own! Tried to make me kill my own president! Tried?
Very creepy, and the biggest indicator Mason was definitely, at the very least, involved. He definitely had a big part to do with it. Either he did the deed or he was heavily involved in the deed. But that's the video I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed it. And as always, please let me know what feedback you have that I can implement into these future videos like this one. Thanks for watching. Take care and have a wonderful day. And subscribe to see more videos like this one.